welcome to Kel Knits. My name is Kelly and I'm an Aussie knitter living in Sydney, Australia. And this is my YouTube channel where I chat all about knitting. Before I get started, I do want to take a moment just to acknowledge the Kamm people, who are the traditional owners of the land where I'm filming this video today. And I'd like to pay my respects to their elders, both past, present, future and emerging. I have a little different video today. It's not the usual whips and FOs videos, but I've been searching for patterns and I thought I'd share them with you. I'm wearing today my Auspice shawl by Mutch, and it's like the thing that gets worn most of all out of all of my knits at the moment. I really like it, and I was thinking about what is it about this particular knit that I grab in my wardrobe. I really gravitate towards it. And I think much as I love knitting shawls, I'm really enjoying this because it's kind of lightweight. It's not too heavy around and thick and bulky around the neck. And it's got a nice amount of length, which I think looks nice in an outfit as well. And realized that I'm kind of describing a scarf. So I feel like knitted scarves maybe have a bad rap. I know my first knitted garter knit scarf that I started when I first started knitting never actually got finished because I got bored and moved on to something else. But I realized there's a whole world of beautiful knitted scarf patterns out there. And so I've done a pattern search. I've got my laptop here with all the patterns that I've put aside of those knitted scarves and slim long shawls, I guess, because they fall in that category too. So scarves and slim long shawls that I'd like to knit. That's what I want to share with you today. The first pattern that I have here is one that I already have bought the pattern for. I've already got yarn put aside, so 100% all I need to do is cast on. It's going to get knit, and that is the Coral Reef Scarf by Lisa Haynes. It just looks really like a fun, interesting pattern to knit. I believe that you know, it's not as tricky as it looks, I think is what I read somewhere. It doesn't look too tricky, but doesn't look necessarily completely mindless, but that's okay. I don't mind. I like having something a bit mindless and something a bit more intricate on the go. It's done in a DK and 8 ply, and I think I read somewhere here on the notes, I should have double checked, that actually it looks really good both sides as well. So I thought that's good if you don't have to think about how you're positioning it on your neck as well, when you can just wrap it around and it looks good no matter how it falls. Really like the look of this one. So ideally I'm going to cast this on fairly soon, hopefully. It says also there's a wrap version, but this is the scarf version that I would like to knit. The next pattern on my list of scarves that I want to knit is called an Italian summer scarf, and it's by the Italian knitter. And this one looks like a really lovely mindless knit. Not completely, it's not gartered back and forth. We've got some, I guess, some eyelet rows or something to keep it a little bit interesting. It is knit in worsted 10 ply, which is maybe a bit heavier than what I'm looking at, but it looks like a pretty straightforward pattern. So I think that you could probably do it in any weight yarn, and just maybe add to it to get the length that I'm looking for. It's also a free pattern, so yay for free patterns. We love the look of those. Next one is probably not mindless, and that is Clockwork by Stephen West. I really love Stephen West patterns. I'm always looking at his patterns and wondering if I'm going to be ambitious enough to cast one of them on, because they can be a little bit more complicated. But hopefully this one isn't too bad, because he also usually has some good tutorials on his website too, if there's some particularly tricky techniques. In fact, actually, I think the notes on this one say that it's an easy striped garter stitch scarf, perfect for featuring 2 beautiful colors of yarn. So hopefully not too complicated at all. It's knit in fingering weight, and I mean, he always has magnificent color play with the colors that he chooses for his knits. And I know when I was looking at the different projects that people have done for this scarf, there's some really fantastic color choices too, and they just change the look of it, and it looks like a really good fun pattern to choose when you've got 2 bold yarns or interesting looking yarns that you want to play with. and see how they come together as well. So it looks like a lot of fun. His MCAL is coming up in the next month or so, and I'm not a Stephen West MCAL person. I won't be doing that because it's just too much knitting for me. I can't keep up. Not that you have to, but it's nice to at least be somewhat up to date with it. But I thought it could be fun to actually knit another Stephen West pattern alongside the MCAL, so at least I feel, I don't know, a connection there. And this would be one of the potentials that I'd have on that list that I'd like to knit. Then we have to have a lovely traditional looking scarf as well. And so for that, I'm looking at the Ticking Ribbed Wrap, which comes in a wrap version and a scarf version. So I'd be going for the scarf. And it's by Oliphant Cat, Katrina Walzer as well. And it's another free pattern. Yay for free patterns through Pearl Soho. It's knit in a light fingering, so it's going to be lovely and light, but have that kind of really traditional looking scarf pattern. But again, without it being too boring, it's got that rib in there, which is going to keep it a little bit more interesting, and some lovely little tassels at the end too. It looks lovely. I think that's done in the Pearl Soho. Is it like a, it looks like it's got a bit of cashmere or something in there. I could be making, no, it's Suri alpaca. That's why the pattern photos on Ravelry just look like it's really soft and glorious. And that's what we want up around our neck, isn't it? The next one has been in my queue for a year or two, for a long time. For me, that's a long time. And it's called the Olive Scarf by Pernille Larsen. And I just think it looks beautiful. Again, sometimes you see the photos of these patterns and they just look beautiful. And I have to try and think to myself, now try and imagine it after you've knit it in the yarn that you're going to use. Is it going to look quite as exquisite as it does in these photos? And hopefully it does. But to try and separate those, I suppose, and not be so convinced just by the pattern photos, because this one looks really squishy and soft and luxurious, actually. It's got a beautiful pattern. It's like that, like a leaf. Is it even an olive leaf pattern? That, hence the name, that would make sense, which I think looks, again, really beautiful and lovely. It's a long, elegant scarf worked in a simple textured pattern with twisted rib edges. So it's, as I said, it's been in my queue for a long time, so I think I'm gonna have to cast it on and get this one knit. And it's recommending lace and a light fingering together. So this is one of the patterns for Knitting for Olives patterns. And so they do it in their merino and their soft silk mohair. And I'm knitting the Petite Knit No Frills sweater in those two yarns at the moment, and I love it. I love that combination of those two yarns together. So maybe I'll have to follow also the yarn recommendations for that one. The next one on my list here is called Natural Woman by Nadia, Crétin-Léchenne. I'm sure I have butchered that name, so my apologies. But it looks really fun and interesting, this one. It's got kind of garter ridge elements and then beautiful lace in between, alternating between two different yarns, fingering weight yarns, to create this, again, a really elegant, beautiful looking scarf. And this is another one where it's worth having a look at the different color combinations and yarn combinations that people have used in the pattern photos and in the other project notes, because depending, again, on what you use there, it can look really interesting and you can have a lot of fun. I think that's a gorgeous looking pattern. They all are. Next up is Moonbumps by Maxim, oh, I can't pronounce his surname either, Cyr. Anyway, very well-known knitter. I knit his, one of his sweater patterns for my husband. And this looks really interesting, this one. It looks like a very simple scarf, nice long scarf, but then it's got these stripes through it. And it references that that's through I-cord stripes. We don't know if that's added after you've knit the whole thing, or is it put in throughout? And of course, this is a paid pattern. I don't have the pattern, so I'm not sure how that's put together, but I think it looks really interesting. And of course, again, okay, basically I've said this for every pattern, but you know, you can really have fun with some color choices. And I like some of the very neutral looking colors that people have chosen, and then other people have chosen really, you know, each stripe is a different color, I can see you having a lot of fun with that one. It mentions that for these I-cord stripes that there is a video tutorial, which that makes me feel happy about if I want to tackle this project for something that looks like that one. I'm like, I don't even know how they did that. There's a video tutorial, so we'll be good. And it recommends either a DK or a sport weight yarn, so you have both options there. I think the other fun thing about all of these scarf patterns that I'm just realizing as well is that they're the right, it's kind of usually that right number of yarns that you need that you can probably go stash diving for as well. I don't have a huge stash, but it's big enough that I'd really like to kind of use up what I have. And so I'm assuming like with these stripes, that could be a really great way to use up some scraps, or yeah, see what's already in the stash. The next one looks like fun. It is Zickzack Scarf by Christy, Kamm, and it's just, again, a really traditional looking scarf, but there are these zigzag patterns that are created, which just means it looks really interesting. They recommend using a self-striping yarn, which is going to create this effect in a fingering weight. I don't know how I'm sure, oh, and you use two yarns, so you're alternating yarns as well, and that's how it's creating the effect. It is a free pattern, so I probably should have checked out how they actually do that effect, but I haven't done that. But it's free and it looks really cool, and it says that it's an impressive yet easy to knit scarf, so I'm all about things that are impressive and easy to knit. Looks like a lot of fun. I really like the look of that one. Next up, I have marked the Pythagore, oh gosh, my pronunciation. Pythagore with an E? Sorry. How embarrassing. Should have looked up how to pronounce all these things beforehand. Anyway, it looks like a really lovely pattern. It's by Tricot Design, MCL, and it has these different triangles and diamonds in different yarns in different colors to create this really lovely effect. I'm always putting aside patterns that I have a yarn advent that I bought not last year, but the year before, that I've never used. So I'm always putting aside patterns that I think I could potentially use that for. And this is definitely one of them that would work with kind of a yarn advent or lots of scraps to create this really interesting effect, which looks lovely. It's a large stole of geometric inspiration. It's an easy but captivating knit with a unique construction. Again, it's totally speaking my language. Easy yet captivating. Yeah, I think that could be a lot of fun to knit, and it's a beautiful pattern. Oh, and then I had to throw this one in, the Easy Peasy Scarf by Susanne, Müller. I think it's just so nice to have that combination. Sometimes you've got knits that are a little bit more complicated, but a nice easy peasy one is always great too. It is knit in a lace yarn, which I guess is why it looks so soft and light. But that does mean it would take a little bit of time to knit this one up. It's another free pattern, and oh, the notes were in German there, so I was a bit worried, but no, it is available in both English and German, so it looks like it could be a fun one, especially if we want that kind of mindless, easy peasy knit for on the go. Nearly at the end of all the patterns that I've put aside, but I had to throw this one in, which I've already knit twice, but I'll probably knit another one because I really liked it, and that's the Sophie Scarf by Petite Knit. It's usually kind of a shorter knit, and I've done the long version and I've made the short version of this pattern but you could easily make it super long by just keeping on knitting if that's what you wanted to do. But I thought I'd throw that one on in the end of all my pattern recommendations. Well, they're not recommendations, the patterns I'd like to knit, because I really love this pattern and it's nice and straightforward. And I'll probably knit it again for that reason. I feel like I've just rushed through all of those patterns, but I hope you got some ideas as well. That's why I quite enjoy watching these kinds of videos and getting pattern inspiration, so it's fun to share as well. If you have your favorite knitted scarf pattern, or you've got some recommendations, I would love to hear about them in the comments. I've created a bundle on Ravelry, and I'll just add more into that bundle as well as I come across different patterns, or if you have recommendations, I'll add them in there as well. Because let's be honest, part of the thing that's fun about knitting is actually looking at these patterns. There is not enough time in the day or in this lifetime to knit all the things that I want to knit, but I can dream about them and I can really look and enjoy these beautiful patterns and get ideas and inspiration from them as well. And I'm sure you do also. So please let me know, hit me up in the comments, tell me what some of your favorite knitted scarf patterns or long skinny shawls also count as well. But that's it for me. So wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having a magnificent day. I wish you lots and lots of lovely, peaceful, relaxing knitting time. And I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.